Every single day, we are exposed to words, images, and subtle cues, all designed to trigger certain reactions within us. Some work on a conscious level, others slip quietly beneath awareness, shaping our thoughts and behaviors without us even realizing it. In psychology and therapy, there is a long-standing effort to use this power for good, to guide the subconscious mind towards healing and self-development. But, as with any tool, it ultimately reflects the intention of the person who wields it, right? And today, the border between consciousness and the subconscious has become a little battlefield, a war zone for our attention. Today we are going to explore the depths of the human subconscious with someone who knows this world intimately, a therapist, coach and trainer of coaches with years of experience in neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis. Robert Breadonem is a specialist in workings of the human mind. Welcome, Mr. Breadonem.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you very much for coming. My first question to you is, how did you actually get to know neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis? Why did you start to get interested?
It's quite an interesting story, and I'll try and keep it brief. Many years ago I was a sailor, and I was very fond of sailing, and I sailed down the Greece coast, got caught in a storm and wrecked my boat and nearly died. I was rescued, but when I went home I was afraid of the dark. I was afraid of the rain. I was afraid of being alone. I didn't understand what was happening to me. I went to the doctor, he gave me some pills. Went to a psychiatrist, he let me talk for hours. And then a friend said, "Wait a minute, trauma?" I said, "Yeah, I think it's a trauma." I was very upset. He said, "You could try hypnosis." I said, "I don't want to jump around a stage like a bunny rabbit." He said, "It's a much more complex and deeper than that. Try it." So I did. And my fear of the dark, of the rain, of anything dark and tight just disappeared in one sitting with this man. I don't even remember his name now. But he did a very simple exercise, and I said, "What the hell was that?" He said, "That's hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming. Hypnosis creates the mental state, and NLP, the linguistic state, for change." And I'm like, I got to learn this, haven't I? So I started to look who and where you could learn. And I have a history of trying to turn to the best in the industry. I don't mind to pay for their time. It's always worth it. So I got a very good trainer. And he taught me in the first step how to go from amateur golfer to professional golfer in 6 months, which is unheard of. But with the power of the mind, good training strategies and good techniques, I was able to do it. So I became a professional golf trainer just as a spin-off.
So that means that actually at the very beginning there was the therapy helped you.
It's helped me, blew my mind. So I've got to learn this. I want to know how to do this. This is so helpful, so easy. There was no personal questions. He didn't want to know anything about my mummy or if I had milk or nothing like that. No, he let me do the work myself. And up to the last, 20 years now, I've been helping other people to do it. But the journey was through trauma, through wrecking a boat, nearly dying, swimming kilometers in a storm with no jacket, and horrible stuff. Really mess your head up, but I can talk about it with you now. And you can see in my face, there is no trauma, it's gone. And so there are many other things that have happened to me, same as you, same as everybody, that we carry with us and they affect us. And we just get used to working with them, don't we? Could be.
During your work and maybe even your studies, what was the most surprising thing about human mind for you?
Really, the most surprising thing for me was how simple it is. People think it's such a complex machine. It isn't. If I make an audio suggestion with a particular way, I can make your mind see, hear, feel things that don't exist. It's really simple. It's got 5 communication stations with channels. You only get the information through your eyes, through your mouth, through your nose, how you feel. So you've got 5 senses, that's all we've got. And we've got to take it in through that. But each of us codes it in a different way. Maybe you can see it, or maybe you can hear it, or maybe you can feel it. But we're all a little bit different, you know. So my wife will say, "Oh, that's a lovely cake." I say, "Yeah, it sounds dreamy." And she goes, "What sound? It's a cake." I say, "Well, I hear it." And when we accept that we all are a little bit different like that, and we'll all get on a lot better, because instead of saying, "Why doesn't she see it my way?" She does, but she hears it. She doesn't see it. Or she feels it instead of seeing it.
If we take neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis, what is the difference actually? What is the basis of?
Okay, neuro-linguistic programming is a strategy for life. Hypnosis is a tool that allows us to just accelerate that process.
So they are interconnected?
Yeah, they can be used individually, just on a simple hypnotic language, or you can go really deep in on the linguistic programming. And in a hypnotic state, your mind is able to visualize, travel to time, travel through space without any resistance from your ego, as they call it. But it's just resistance. We are machines that like patterns. If I clap my hand once, I want to do it again. It's a pattern. Yeah? So if I'm sad today, I will be sad tomorrow because I have the pattern. NLP, through relaxing the mind through hypnosis. So just the moment before you go to sleep, that's hypnosis. Just on the edge. That's the feeling. So there isn't a feeling because there's no clock. So you can't remember it, you can't really experience it, you can only experience the effects of it. And so people will sit down and be hypnotized in my office, and I'll say, "How long were you there?" And they go, "I don't know, 2 minutes." And they were there 40 minutes. Because when your mind is relaxed, you are not recording any film. There is no clock. There is no time. And without time, you cannot record the feelings. Yeah? So that's why you just wake up.
We are coming to the topic actually. What is it, hypnosis?
Yeah, hypnosis is the state of a mind in an alpha rhythm, simply said. So the frequency of alpha is the most creative frequency in the brain. You can see colors, you can see shapes, you can move through time, you can move through space, and we don't need it all day, every day. So, but we do need it when we go to sleep to start thinking about the gas bill, what time's that bus I've got to catch tomorrow, and not have your head full with what's to be. Then that relaxation of alpha wave, of a hypnotic wave, will allow you to let go of what's not relevant right now. And right now it's relevant, go to sleep. Yeah. Why do we do that? Turning and turning.
Are there different stages of hypnosis, or it's
there is only really one state. Some professionals will argue that there are deep hypnotic states or light hypnotic states. Same as there is deep sleep and light sleep, but it's all sleep. Hypnotic state is profound from the first moment it begins to the last moment it ends. How deep it is how good the operator, the hypnotist, how deep and fast he wants to go to and identify the issue that is causing the pain or the discomfort for that person. And most of us can do it within an hour. It's not that difficult to do, you know. So we don't need a deep, deep state, and it's only a transient state in a day-to-day life of conscious mind to sleeping mind. Alpha is just the last moment before we go to sleep. Then we can be in all sorts of different states.
How is it possible that, well, in the common thinking, hypnosis is a state where you cannot control yourself?
Yeah, it's just a mythos. It's I cannot, and I've never ever been able to achieve, and no hypnotist has ever done it, get a person to do anything or say anything they don't want to do, because it's your pure essence of who you are in that hypnotic state. You're a walking, sleeping you, but your fundamental laws are very strong. So you won't be taking your clothes off, or you won't be jumping around the stage like a bunny rabbit unless you want to. And the hypnotist very carefully chooses who does he hypnotize. So we want fun-loving, easygoing, not stressy out type people. So on the stage shows, you see it on the TV, you might have 10 people, But he chose those 10 people. And we have some very, very simple tests that we will do with the people who want to participate in these fun events. If they can do them, if they can react to them, then we know they're what we call hypnomobile. So they're confident within who they are so that they can relax and just have a bit of fun. But not everybody can do that.
Can you please explain the terms, what is trigger, what is post-hypnotic programming, what is, if it's possible to a common person?
So, in an hypnotic state, I can make a suggestion, and as long as it doesn't conflict with the person's true beliefs, they'll take that suggestion. Okay? So a magician standing on a crowd will say, here's a newspaper, pick any page you like. But in between, he said, 17. You didn't register it. Did you hear me say it? You can play it back. You won't find it. You can't find it because your brain won't allow you to hear what you shouldn't be hearing. But your subconscious mind will go, hey, what's that, 17? And it'll go to page 17. So that's a post-hypnotic suggestion. For example, in my therapy, I always leave people with a small diary check, a little present, and I say that whenever you see the color green, from now on in your life, you will feel a warmth so deep, so powerful that you get chicken skin and you will be happy. And it's just going to affect you for the rest of your life. That's all I ask you to do. So they leave. They don't know that that's what I said. But they look at the green and they get that little push that might help them get over why they came to me, another little help. Yeah? Or alcoholics or drug users, you know. I will turn the glass into a very hot piece of metal that will burn his fingers if there's alcohol in it. And he will see the flames and he will feel the heat because his brain has accepted the suggestion in a hypnotic state.
That means that in real state he will see the...
He will go back to what he's been told to see. Okay. But he'll go backwards and forwards, but milliseconds at a time, very, very quick. All we want to do with a drug abuser and alcohol abuser in the first case is stop that first impulse. If I can stop that, the cigarette smoker, if I can just stop him doing that and say instead, comb your hair, just comb your hair. And when you're going to put it in your mouth, no, comb your hair. He puts the cigarette down and he picks up the comb and he combs his hair. It's not complicated because we are programmed. The longer the person has the issue, of course, the deeper the program. So first I might have to peel a layer or two off it to find out what the hell it... Why do you smoke? Why are you drinking 6 whiskeys a night at home? Why did you eat that 3rd bar of chocolate? You know, you ask them, they go, I don't know. But I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not looking for the answer. I'm looking for the cause. And they very rarely know where it is. So it's just become a habit.
You have now explained actually how to program people to help them. That's the actually therapeutic...
That's the purpose. That's why it was designed.
Why it was designed. If we imagine somebody with this knowledge, this, let's say, training, with no moral restraint, is it possible to program for something negative that would actually harm the person or harm other people?
I simply said no, is the quick answer, because you can't program to do anything that they didn't want to do. But who doesn't want to give somebody a slap in the face all their life, but never does it? We have a code of how we're going to behave socially. You know, a lot of people like to take their clothes off, but they would never do it. So to get somebody programmed to do something they don't want to do, you can do it, but I would have to do it piece by piece. So I wouldn't be able to subversively convince somebody to do something that would, in my experience and knowledge, it's only really compliance by belief, compliance by fun, taking part because they are happy to do that. So if the hypnotist says, yes, you can play the violin, he'll play the violin. But if you said to him, and now go stab the guy in the 3rd row because he killed my wife, the brain will go, no. It always has its hardwire protection in there. Yeah? Now, of course, drugs and alcohol, could take that natural barrier down. And if you were to continually submit that person to it, we've seen it, the CIA did it in the 1960s, giving people LSD. We see it all across the world, letting marijuana being smoked like it doesn't mean anything. It's all part of those that understand, subdue the brain, and then there'll be less trouble. Give them so 1,000 years ago, give them their mead and their olive oil and a piece of bread, they'll be okay. They built the pyramids, for God's sake, like that. That, to me, is more the programming. That, to more, is like manipulating people. That this is the only job, this is the only way, this is the only thing you can do. But there is always a way. There's always another route. It's just whether we have the permission to be where we want to be. You can take an alcoholic and put them in, it's almost jail, it's a hospital, but for me it's a jail. They leave them there for a year and they come out and the first thing they want to do is go to a bar. And I say to the doctors, give them my number. And the first thing they need to do is come to me because I've got some really interesting news for them. And it's for free. I'll do the first consultancy for free. So like, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to stop you going to the bar tonight. You don't need it. You don't need it. And very often a face-to-face with the right words, with the right tone, can be very influential. Can it change lives? No, not unless they want to. It would be very demanding, very, very demanding, I think.
During our initial talk, you actually told us about a very interesting social experiment.
Yes.
Made by Darren Brown.
Yes.
So we watched and we were really...
blown away, eh?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, actually showing hypnosis, making by post-hypnotic suggestion an assassin. So according to your experience, to your opinion, expert opinion, is it possible?
Yes, it is. He did it. But ask him, he did it 200 test clients to find somebody with with enough malleability in the mind to take the suggestions. Over 200 people he did before he could get. Same with Don Spence, the Las Vegas showman. He'll have 4,000 people in the crowd. He'll only manage to pull out 10 that he can find that are just perfect for it.
So, yeah, from the social point of view, this is very interesting because you were talking about that he actually chose the perfect person from 200.
200 plus.
Okay. But he demonstrated that it is possible to create assistant in a hypnotic state. Well, there may be some conditions which must be, the person must be the right one, and we can discuss maybe later what are the properties of such a person. But what do you think? Is it possible to, because he was in contact with the person, the hypnotist was in contact with the person. Is it possible to do something like that remotely?
Sure. Yeah. If you read a text, you read it in your voice, straight into your brain. So it's actually easier if you read it than somebody else saying it to you. Because if I say it to you, you've got 4 automatic filter systems that will filter out nonsense. But if you say it to yourself, so I say, read that, and close your eyes while you do it, you will hypnotize yourself. That's quite normal to do that.
So maybe just using the TV screen, or is it possible, for example, also with the text?
Yeah.
Written text?
Yeah, in a newspaper. In a newspaper, on a radio show, if I say, channel 22 AFM, that tone is hypnosis. And if I'm smart, I will know how to use that tone so that you remember Ovládání FM, that tone. And by repeating it 4,000 times a day, you end up being saturated with it and you can't help but take it. Now, if your brain thought it was dangerous, it wouldn't let you hear it. Go kill people, go kill it. Your brain will go, shut up. But if we just say, Ovládání FM, the brain will go, yeah, there's no harm in that, I'll take that. Yeah. So they start, so if we take it, programming, they take it from, okay, we're Muslims here, 12th century, we want to be Christians, yeah. Okay, we've got this thing, it's called a cross, and if you look at it and you pray at it, you'll get your wishes. I don't want that. I'm going to get 20 virgins if I stay with this God. He's not real. Okay. No. And they tell him that for 300 years, and he stops being a Muslim state. So a lot of the programming is long-term and conditional.
It's nice to give the examples, just still with the topic of making assassin.
Yeah.
I have one more question,
Okay.
and that is, if, for example, there is a proper person doing that, is it possible that with this conditional programming, post-hypnotic suggestion, very, very negative, is it possible that, for example, after a month of such conditioning, that person would go with, he would forget any basic sense for survival and do and shoot at the people, for example?
You see, this is a misunderstanding about what that assassin thinks he's doing. Mm-hmm. Like Darren in his show, it's a TV show it was in the UK, he let him practice at the driving at the range.
Yes.
So he just shot at a touch. So when he was in hypnosis and tried to assassinate somebody, he wasn't shooting at a person, he was shooting at the touch, because his brain would say, you can't do that, that's a person, you can't shoot a person. But can we swap the visuals and make him think that the person is the terch? Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We can change the color of things. We can convince him that red is green and green is blue. Darren does a great thing in Las Vegas where he asks a woman, he hypnotizes her, asks her to go into the car park. He said, where's your car? He said, that looks like that's my number plate, but it's not the color of my car. So that is doable. What you're talking about is a little bit Hollywood for me. You know, get him, lock him up somewhere for a month, pound stuff into him and then let him out. No. The Manchurian program, the Russian program was 20 years long, where they progressively, through telephone and letter and books, they programmed their people. They lived in America. They didn't even know that they weren't American until they got the phone call. They've made films about it. And it is possible, and it does happen. However, the person will always know what are they doing. They'll always know. So the assassin thinks he's shooting in the range. Yeah. And that's how I can decode it, because it's a false situation. So I'll give you context. I had a client came to me and he killed his father and with a knife. And he was just very, very upset about it, you know. But he was just a little boy when he did it, so he had to go to a special school, you know. But he had awful problems. Yeah, he did his time, everything was good. Yeah, but he had terrible problems with the relationships. They were strange. So his girlfriend said, come see Robin, maybe he'll help you out, find out what's going on. He said, no, I killed my father, I know what's the matter. And she said, you never know, when Rob talks to you, maybe you didn't kill him. And he's like, oh, and he liked that idea. So I built on that. He'd already done his time, he'd been in special schools, he'd been in jail for children. So I wasn't going to torture the boy anymore, yeah? So I took the knife out of his hand in a hypnotic state and put a rubber chicken in his hand. You know the ones you buy for your dog? They bite on it and it squeaks. So I put that in his hand instead of a knife and suggested that over and over and over and over, maybe 21 times into his brain to let him see that yellow chicken. And as he's plunging it into his father, it's just going, weak, 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 weak. And halfway through, he starts laughing. He said, that's funny. I said, one more time. Just one more time. And he starts laughing, which means the original thought is gone. Now, even as I've said it to you, for the rest of your life, you won't forget the knife being swapped with the chicken, because I use the language that we use. So I can help people escape from traumas that they can do nothing about. Yeah.
Can a person actually realize that somebody is working on him or her on the subconscious level?
That's an interesting question. And I've thought about this, and I've asked my customers, clients, come back to me, how did you notice that? And very often they go, I don't know what you're talking about. They suffer massive, massive amnesia about how did they get where they got, how did they believe what they believed. There's a funny joke here. You know, a lady comes to me when I'm a pro golfer and she wants a lesson. I'm always shaking when I'm so I cure her shaking and I say, okay, that's this price. And she's like, for what? And I said, I just cured you from shaking. She's like, no, I don't have a problem with my shake. And that's the thing. Once a person is cured, it's cleaned out. It's gone. They're not going back to it.
Yeah, but still there's a point that in conscious level we wouldn't do something, and when it comes to, let's say, this subconscious reactions, there's one more social experiment that I was watching by Darren Brown as well, which was very interesting from the social point of view, because it was actually the experiment with a crowd. Feeling anonymous, like taking masks and actually deciding about the fate of the person. While they were anonymous, they actually, in the majority of them decided that something negative happened to him. And finally, that they decided that somebody is going to kidnap him. Well, the point was to show the people, look what is happening to you when you think that you are anonymous.
What you do? What could you do?
And we are coming to the point that you mentioned actually at the very beginning, that the person wouldn't do something that he or she wouldn't agree to.
Yeah.
But the conditions...
The conditions can be altered and played with. Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, it would be a very dangerous game if you say, everybody else is dead on the planet, it's just you, and you've got to survive, you've got to get to London. You know? He did another show like that. You've got no money, you've got to get to London. So yeah, the program is possible, but you have to remember he's a showman and he will go through hundreds, if not thousands, to find the perfect candidate for this type of thing. Yeah. So he does one, for example, he walks into a shop and he gives him a piece of paper and it's not money, he says, just take it, and the guy just takes it. He went through 150 shops before it pulled it off. The policeman stops him for speeding. He's got 50 tickets for speeding in the back. It doesn't work every time because you don't know the person that you're talking to if they are in that state of mind to be open to suggestion, are intelligent enough, have a bigger enough imagination. It's very hard to hypnotize low IQ people, you know, because you need to visualize and not without training. There's lots of people who don't. So Darren will say, have you ever meditated? Go, yes, I meditate every day. Great, come in this crowd. Do you ever meditate? Do yoga? No, fuck off, I'm not doing that. No, go home. So he'll filter, and then he'll filter again, and then he'll filter again until he ends up with 10 perfect candidates, and hope and pray to God that one shows that, yes, it is possible. Because if it was possible to do it to everybody, then they'd be doing it to us already through the TV. The fact that it's a hit and miss, it's not guaranteed, is why they're not using it against us in any big form. But otherwise they would, you know.
So if we can summarize, can I as a person realize that somebody's trying to manipulate me on a subconscious level?
Yeah. There are certain words and phrases that you just would not normally use in a conversation. So if you're a very attentive person who listens very carefully, like you do, because it's your profession, then you will notice that, why did he say now? Why did he say stand in the middle of that conversation? Because he has to do something that is slightly away from the norm to talk to the subconscious mind. He has to get a little word in there, a little dig in there and build on that. It's not easy. It's not easy.
And when somebody is working remotely?
Do you mean through the radio or on a letter or something like that? You know, easier would be, say, SMS, because the person has picked it up in their hands, you got their attention, yeah? So read this message very, very slowly and carefully now. It's a suggestive phrase. So you could do it like that, but they've still got their conscious awareness, they've still got their logical choices. There are methods called rapid induction, where you just catch a person unaware and put them into a trance. But once again, it's a very, very light trance because you went into it very, very quickly. If I'm doing a hypnosis session, it will take an hour and a half for me to do the whole session. And the standard, it's called progressive relaxation induction, is the most popular way of hypnotizing people. It's been studied by Harvard and Yale. So it's a standard text, very safe, they say. But for me, it's a very simple thing to learn. So the basic induction to trance is available for everybody to find and everybody to use how they like. But once again, the mind that it is going to be sent to has to be susceptible to it. So open a newspaper and they go, oh, last day's at Mountfield, oh, I better go. If I'm that guy, then I'm going to get hypnotized quite easily, aren't I? But most of us go, well, again? And we close the newspaper. Well,
coming to the topic of a person who is actually susceptible to this, let's say post-hypnotic suggestion. Let's hypothesize, okay? Am I, in quotations, a good candidate to become an assassin, or am I not? Or if I am, what can I do not to be? Because, as a human being, I don't want to.
We're all susceptible, as you said, depending on the ecology. Okay, so somebody who's on drugs is much more susceptible, but are they capable? You know, would they be capable to do something of any use to you? So the Russians, they implanted normal people and just sent them nice magazines with stories that influenced them over years. So that's what I'd have to do if I wanted to make a major effect. I would have to work for years. And we call that propaganda, advertising. It's all mass shifting of your thinking from point A to shift you over to point B. You know, and that's why regimes get torn down, and that's what we want, the critical thinking, the person who says, hang on a minute, that's propaganda, you're programming me. And they stand up, and then the sheep say, oh, he says it's like that, so I'm not going to do that anymore.
Critical thinking, is it enough?
No. We need people like me who police, who watch what other people do, who bring it to people's attention if they go over the line, if they go too far, if they take advantage of people. And I'm a corporate coach for 20 years. I know what a good business looks like. I know what a bad business smells like. And I can give them advice before they go into business, and 9 times out of 10 I'm right. But it doesn't matter what the product is, it doesn't matter what the service is, it's who's running it. And what's his capacities and what's his vision will decide whether it works.
When using all these, let's say, methods for self-development, learning of observation of things. So is it also the way how to protect oneself from manipulation, from...
Absolutely. I'm so glad you've come to it, because the point of what I teach is to really start to understand what's the communication from the second person, and not just by the words, not just by the tone or the volume, because that can also be very misconstruing. What I teach my students is to read the body language, but I'm not just looking at your hands and where your eyes are, that's for children. I'm watching every one of the 52 muscles in the right side of your face, twitching and pulling, depending on what word I use. Now, when you start to observe others like that, it's very easy to look in the mirror and go, well, how do I say it? How do I say it? Well, if my team won football game yesterday, how do I say, oh, that was fantastic? Oh, why do I say fantastic? And what does that mean for me? And how do I feel that? And where do I feel that? And by understanding how you feel something, I feel something, it becomes a resource. It becomes a source that I can return to and pull from. Did you have a bicycle as a little girl? Is it something pleasant that you remember? Bring that feeling to something that's not unpleasant, that's something that's unpleasant now, and apply it. The brain doesn't care. It just wants the chemicals. Have you ever been scared of an animal and then not been scared of that? And you go, why was I ever scared of that? Or anything else that you've ever pushed beyond your limits, that first you were afraid, and then you push yourself past it, and now you're no longer afraid. You must have looked back and went, what was that all about? We all do it, and all the time, hopefully. And that's personal development. Because if I can stretch my mental limit, I can stretch my physical limit. And if I can stretch my physical limit, then I've got more chemicals available to take me to the next level, to next level, to next level. Yeah. So if I'm training a golfer, for example, yeah, he knows I can play, he knows I can outplay him, and I'll do it with my eyes blind. I'll blindfold. And I'll go, okay, name it, and I will do it. I've trained it 10,000 times, but he doesn't know that, does he? He's getting the therapeutical effect of stop looking at the ball and where you're trying to hit it. Go blind and stay with the flow, stay with the movement. And so that dramatic show will make him make a shift, because now he has new information about an old fact and he's allowed to change. Mm-hmm. That's why I always give you examples, because it's very hard to believe on the surface. But if I say this happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and you know it to be that way, then it brings weight to the argument that was presented in the first place. And that's communication skills. Why bore people to death? No, be interesting, be colourful, be active, be proactive, and stop talking to yourself. Start talking to the person that you're actually talking to. So using their languages, their words, their tones, their griff, even their body language, as we pair up here like two little children at school. Because that's how it goes, you know.
Right. Thank you very much. Is there something that you would like to tell the people as a, let's say, final word?
Yeah. I think that organizations like this are really helpful, and we should do everything we can to support them. Maybe even sponsor them, help them on their way. Because without these people who are looking out for you and me, we could just get it eaten up by the system. So I'm very proud of what you're doing, and I'm very happy to be part of it.
Thank you very much for very kind words.